This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 1:15. Here's the news edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe, read by Victor Raj. Here are the headlines of the local news. Army commander says quarantine curfew was imposed scientifically on health advice. 40,000 metric tons of medical oxygen imported from India for COVID patients will reach the country today. Ministerial subcommittee appointed to solve teachers' and principals' salary anomalies hands over its report to Finance Minister. An allowance of 2,000 rupees will be paid to the families who have lost their livelihood during quarantine curfew. Foreign news: Kabul evacuations resume after hours-long delay. Sports news: Southern Brave and Oval Invincibles reach men and women's 100 final. Local news in detail. Army Commander General Shavendra Silva says that quarantine curfew was imposed by considering requests made to President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on present COVID situation in the country. It is a scientific step taken on health advice to prevent the spread of virus. Persons who are arriving for essential work must prove it. The Army Commander said that special attention will be paid to vaccinate individuals above 60 years during quarantine curfew period. Meanwhile, more than 221,000 have been given vaccines yesterday. General Manager of the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation, Dinusha Dasanayaka, said that 40,000 metric tons of medical oxygen imported from India for COVID patients will reach the country today. Dr. Pratibha Mahanama of Sri Pali campus of the Colombo University said Colombo University has been selected by the UN to donate vaccines. The Cabinet Subcommittee appointed to recommend solutions for the disparities in the salaries of teachers and principals has handed over its report to the Ministry of Finance. A discussion between Finance Minister Basil Rajapaksa and the members of the Cabinet Subcommittee was held last evening. It will be presented to the Cabinet of Ministers during its meeting next week. Following the meeting, Cabinet Subcommittee member Minister Mahinda Amravera said the report has proposed numerous solutions to resolve the teacher-principal salary issues. The Ministry of Finance said district secretaries have been directed to prepare a list of names of people who lost their livelihood during the quarantine curfew period. Accordingly, an allowance of 2,000 rupees will be paid to those families this week. The government imposed an island-wide quarantine curfew from 10 p.m. yesterday until 4 a.m. on 30th of Monday. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. A giant interest rate for your fixed deposit that you deposit this month. Call 0718 800 999. Continuing with more local news. Despite the pandemic-induced lockdown, India Sotheby's International Realty has concluded over 50 transactions of million-dollar-plus homes worth $300 million in India and Sri Lanka during last year. ANI reported that top markets of the sales include Latians, Delhi, North Goa, Sundarnagar and Colombo. Most of the million-dollar homes sold are independent bungalows and ultra-luxury flowers. Among them are the sale of Sapphire Residence and services apartments by ITC Hotel in Colombo. Deputy Director General of the Health Services, Dr. Hemant Herath, said that the quarantine curfew is the highest point in efforts to control COVID-19. He said the results could be seen in next 10 days. He further said that citizens' responsibility should be at maximum level during this time. An extraordinary gazette notification has been issued for the adaptation of the safety measures for elephants, including the erection of electrical fences, trenches, reforestation, and the standards and specifications for traditional tools used by Mohawks. The gazette notification was issued while Life Protection State Minister Vimalavira Dissanayake under the Fauna and Flora Protection Ordinance. Crest gem and the sacred pinnacle of the Sandahiro Stupa are placed at the Kaluthara Bodhi premises at present. Accordingly, the rituals and religious observances are being conducted by Venerable Mahasangha by adhering to strict healthcare measures. That ends local news.
Now, get your EPF loan information and service details via SMS from HDFC Bank. Wherever you are, being a state and private sector employee, to obtain EPF loan information and service details, just send a SMS mentioning EPF space, name and region to 0718 800 999. HDFC Bank, the bank for your home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Police have arrested 186 more people within the last 24 hours for failing to adhere to quarantine regulations. A total of 55,842 arrests pertaining to the quarantine law violators have been made since 30th of October last year. Police have beefed up monitoring at 12 roadblocks set up at the entry and exit points of the Western Province.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, Transport State Minister Dilumamnugama said no public transport will be available during the nationwide lockdown period until 30th of August. He said permission would be granted if buses are requested institutionally to transport employees only on essential services. He said only the employees of that particular institution that has made the request could travel in those buses. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to world news, the headlines first. Kabul evacuation resumed after hours-long delay. Greece erects a fence at Turkey border amid warning of Afghan migrant surge. Coronavirus expert warn of happy hypoxia. World news in detail. Evacuation flights from Kabul airport have restarted after a brief pause of several hours due to the overcrowding at the staging base in Qatar, the Pentagon said on Friday. President Joe Biden has said he could not guarantee the outcome of the emergency evacuation from Kabul's airport, calling it one of the most difficult airlift operations ever. The president said the United States forces have airlifted 13,000 people out of Afghanistan since August 14th and 18,000 since July. Greece has installed a 40-kilometer fence and surveillance system on its border with Turkey amid concerns over the surge of migrants from Afghanistan. Greece's Citizens Protection Minister Michalis Kisoboidisi said yesterday they cannot wait passively for the possible impact. His comments came as Turkey called on European countries to take responsibility for Afghan migrants. Medical experts in Japan say people who are recovering from the coronavirus at home should frequently check their blood oxygen levels because their conditions could worsen without noticeable symptoms. Some of these who become moderately ill after developing pneumonia show no signs of distress despite a low oxygen intake. The condition is called happy hypoxia. A surge in coronavirus cases is overwhelming Japan's hospitals. Many infected people have little choice but to stay at home. To wrap up the world news, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Kabul evacuations resume after hours-long delay. Greece erects fence at Turkey border amid warnings of Afghan migrant surge. Coronavirus experts warn of happy hypoxia. That ends World News.
Development News is brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Germany has stepped in to support Sri Lanka's exporters of organic produce to obtain broader market access to European Union by providing key information on required certifications and standards, labeling and packaging rules and distribution channels. Chief Delegate German Industry and Commerce in Sri Lanka, Andres Hergenröder, said this while delivering remarks during a conference Organic Food Products Made in Sri Lanka recently. That ends Development News.
Development News was brought to you by
Quality matters than price. So as an engineer, I recommend Melva RB500. It's made with virgin billets using the latest technology. Melva RB500, number one in Sri Lanka. Truly Sri Lankan.
Moving on to sports news, Southern Brave thrashed Trent Rockets by 7 wickets in the men's 100 eliminator to set up a final against Birmingham Phoenix at Lord's on Saturday. In a faultless bowling performance, the Braves' fearsome attack bowled the Rockets out for 96 in just 91 balls. Meanwhile, Oval Invincibles fought back from the brink in the stunning style to reach the inaugural Women's 100 final with a 20-run win over Birmingham Phoenix in the eliminator. Athletics fans will certainly be able to avoid the post-Olympic blues courtesy of the lineup of Diamond League meetings en route to series final next month. Coming up are 4 meetings filed with a galaxy of stars determined to dazzle in the fourth aftermath of their Tokyo glory or near misses. Data from the UK government's COVID pilot scheme to test the return of the big crowds to venues has shown major events can be conducted safely. Data from 37 trial events, including the British Grand Prix and Wimbledon, found case numbers were largely in line with or below community infections rates during the 4-month program. World number 1 Ashley Barty eased through to the semi-finals of the Cincinnati Open with victory over Barbora Krejcikova. Australian Barty beat the Czech's 9th seed 6-2, 6-4, but had to recover from the breakdown in the second set. The 25-year-old two-time Grand Slam champion will face Angelique Kerber next after Petra Kvitova retired injured from their quarterfinal. That ends sports news.
Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply. Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Sams Life Insurance, a leading micro insurance company in Sri Lanka, was awarded Life Insurance COVID-19 Response Initiative Sri Lanka 2021 and Most Sustainable Micro Insurance Company upon taking into consideration the special projects launched by the company during the pandemic. These awards are presented annually by World Economics, an internationally acclaimed magazine, via an independent study. That ends Business News.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money. Contributory deposit of 1,000 rupees from NSB when your child enters grade 1. Open a Hapan Children's Service account for your kid today. Higher interest. Conditions apply.
Economic news. courtesy of... I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Sri Lanka's tea exports revenue in July 2021 of 23.02 billion rupees shows a decrease of 1.31 billion rupees compared to the 24.33 billion rupees in July 2020. Tea exports for July 2021 totaled 25.54 billion kilograms, also showing a decrease of 2.50 million kilograms when compared with the 28.04 million kilograms of July 2020. Iraq has emerged at number 1 position as the major importer of Ceylon tea, followed by Turkey and Russia, with the UAE moving up to the 4th position. That ends economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
Due to a low-level atmospheric disturbance, thunder showers are expected to develop over the most parts of the island today and tomorrow. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in central, over, northern, north-central, eastern and sub-Regama provinces, and heavy showers above 100 mm can be expected at some places. Cloudy skies can be expected in those areas. Showers or thunder showers will occur elsewhere, particularly in the evening or night. That ends the weather report.
Weather report was sponsored by
Dialogue, in partnership with the Ministry of Education, introduces Nanasa, a trilingual educational mobile app with video-based lessons for grade 1 to A levels. Now your child can study with ease on your mobile with no subscription fee.
To wrap up the afternoon news broadcast on Radio Sri Lanka, recap of headlines. Army commander says quarantine curfew was imposed scientifically on health advice. 40,000 metric tons of medical oxygen imported from India for COVID patients will reach the country today. Ministerial subcommittee appointed to sole teachers and principals' salary anomalies hands over its report to Finance Minister. An allowance of 2,000 rupees will be paid to the families who have lost their livelihood during quarantine curfew. Foreign news, Kabul evacuations resume after hours-long delay. Sports news, Southern Brave and Oval Invincibles reach men and women's 100 final. With that, we wrap up the afternoon news on Radio Sri Lanka.